Deprose Muchena, Amnesty International's director for East and Southern Africa, who joins me now live from Nairobi. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us here. Now, in this report, it says all of these cases of rape and other sexual violence took place between April 2023 and October 2024. What do we know about the situation today?
Yeah, what we know is from now 5 days, it will be marking 2 years of a deadly conflict in Sudan, whose real impact has been on civilians, in particular women, who are the focus of the present report that we have documented and are launching today. The main finding is that the Rapid Support Forces have carried out widespread conflict sexual-related violence, which includes rape, gang rape and sexual slavery, assaulting women across several towns in Sudan, to humiliate them, to assert control on them, to forcefully displace families and communities. We think that these atrocities, based on our evidence, constitute war crimes, but also possible crimes against humanity. And we are seeking a response that will end the suffering of Sudan civilians who have suffered for 2 years. The impact of these attacks on women has been such that women are facing medical and psychological trauma related to and arising from the assaults that they've experienced at scale.
So given that trauma, what kind of support is in place actually for these women to help them after they've lived through these rapes?
When we spoke to victims, they have asked for 3 things. One is they really need immediate medical checkup and treatment because a number of them have faced medical challenges, including kidney issues. They cannot walk properly. They are facing stigma, and they are unaware of what has happened to their bodies as a result of the pain inflicted. So medical treatment and checkup is an immediate requirement. The second is seeking protection that this does not happen to them again because the guarantees are not there. And the third is demanding justice and accountability so that the people who have done this are facing justice in fair trials in order for us to break the cycle of impunity and violence against women.
So the report, you're talking about the stigma. The report talks about one case of a woman, for example, who had a child as a result of rape by an RSF soldier, and then her husband subsequently left her. I imagine there's a lot of psychological damage for many of these women as well. But you were talking about claiming that these are war crimes, possibly crimes against humanity. What are the next steps to actually bringing the perpetrators to justice if that is the case?
First of all, you are right. The example you cite is one of many examples that are coming out of Khartoum, but also different other towns and villages across Sudan, including in Darfur. So what we give are samples based on those that have stepped up to speak to us. And the documentation is evidence that can be used in courts. The documentation is evidence that can be used by the international community who have influence on those that are fighting, because we think that the actions by the African Union, the actions by the United Nations, we have called for an arms embargo on Darfur, and we have suggested that this arms embargo be expanded to the entire territory of Sudan as a measure to deter further attacks on people, be done now. But that if there is action related to United Nations Security Council discussing Sudan, that those with veto power don't use veto power in cases where we are dealing with torture, sexual violence, and abuses of international law, international humanitarian law of this type. These actions are the kind of actions that can cause those who are fighting, the RSF and the Sudan Armed Forces, to protect civilians and prioritize their security and safety. The war has now been taken onto women's bodies, and this is something that is not acceptable at all.
Deprose, thank you for your expertise. Deprose Muchena there, Amnesty International's director for East and Southern Africa, talking to me from Nairobi.